before we get into today's episode, do you want to learn about some fun facts that I looked up?
Absolutely.
Okay. I really loved this episode, by the way, and I can't wait to talk about it.
Me too.
But I did really quickly want to talk about. So we had a question, or I had a question in the first episode. Do we think the actors had to do real lifeguard training?
Mm-hmm.
According to my very rudimentary Google search, I can't tell. There's no explicit
Came back inconclusive.
Yeah. I'm Nicole Mackey.
I'm ZJ Hadley. You're listening to a recap podcast drowning in nostalgia.
Welcome to Baywatchers.
There aren't those videos, remember the videos that came out around cats with Taylor Swift and they all had to do cat camp and they had to go? And
Stop.
They're boop, 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 boop. You didn't see these? It's
No.
worth a watch.
Cat, they had to learn cat movements.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't like that.
It's worse than whatever you're picturing. So your question is, did the Baywatch lifeguards have to do that?
Yeah. Okay, so I can't tell really, but there's an actress that comes on later. I don't have her name, and I'm not going to look it up. And she plays Mitch's girlfriend at some point. And she said that they had to be very strong swimmers because the actors on the show, both the recurring actors who are there with us every week and also guest stars that come on and do just one episode roles, have to do their own, quote, saving stunts, rescue stunts. So if there's someone drowning or having a hard time in water, they actually have to be able to swim and be saved, quotes, by a Baywatch actor.
So if you're the guest and you're drowning,
yes,
you're actually swimming while acting drowning, which I guess must be difficult.
Unless you lied, which a lot of actors do, about their skill set. And you run into issues like this woman ran into when you're filming these scenes and you're out there for a long time treading water. They have to get they have to get close-ups. They have to get wide shots. They have to get action from both people. There's a lot going on. You're out there for a while. And there's a boat out there with them, while they're there. But she said there was one instance where this guy had lied about how good of a swimmer he was. And the boat left. The boat with the crew on it was like, okay, well, we're going to go get this other shot. Are you guys good to swim back to shore? And they were like, yeah, we're good. And then the boat left and he goes, I'm not good.
Oh, no.
Immediately is like, uh-oh, this is bad. And she luckily did not have training for lifeguarding through the show, but she had been a junior lifeguard in her life at some point. So she knew how to help him get back to shore. But isn't that wild?
Whoa. I feel like this also weighs in a little bit on your question about Hobie stunt precautions taken when he was on that ski-doo, because I feel none. If you're just leaving the actors there and being like, you guys can figure it out, right?
And he's a child also. Yeah. So it's come on. But no, this seems like the insurance premium on producing this show had to be insane because you're constantly putting people in real life danger.
But I don't know if they gave a shit about that.
Yeah, it was the 90s. I feel like probably not. It was the 80s and 90s.
Okay. It might have been the insurance companies might not have been as worried about it as they are now that people have rights.
TMZ. Yeah.
Maybe we have less rights.
I don't know. Well, now that TMZ exists, I feel like it's harder to be like, it was the fault of the production company, or it was the fault of the person swimming. Now it would just be the production company's fault. They probably could bury it before and be like, well, we don't exactly know what happened, but now it's like, well, TMZ is standing on the shore watching you the whole time, so
right.
You can't hide.
Oh, I see what you mean.
Yeah, you can't hide. Okay, I will say though, they did have stunt doubles for bigger jumping onto moving boats stunts, or boat explosion stunts, those type of things. They're not doing that. If there's fire and speeding boats involved,
yeah,
that they had stunt doubles.
They just had to be able to swim.
Yeah, they had to be able to swim, so
and
that
they
could do the
They were doing
the
swim stuff in the ocean, not in a pool.
No, they're in the fucking ocean, dude. They filmed a bunch of these scenes in Santa Monica, but I also saw mostly Santa Monica, sometimes a little bit Malibu, and then Long Beach, it said.
Oh.
Yeah, so I'll have to look for my home.
But so much of it takes place on the beach.
Yeah.
And this show had 22 episodes a season for 11 years. I feel like they needed their own beach.
You would think,
You could
but
just take over part of Santa Monica for 11
well,
years for a weekly TV show.
yeah. Well, I also read that they only filmed 5 months out of the year, which is not typical for a show that has so many episodes. Like usually they're
Oh.
filming more. So I think, but truly, again, I will say, I think if you cut down all the B-roll footage in every episode, these aren't that long. Like they're not really on the beach that long.
I wonder how much they reuse the B-roll. Have we been paying attention? We should start looking to see if it's like the same lady in a red hat every time they pan across the beach. Because why would
Oh,
you go out and get fresh B-roll 22 times a year?
no, that's what I was wondering that today. Do they just, I was even wondering that with the last episode with the kite surfer, because I'm like, oh, did they just like grab this B-roll at the same time? And then she had a little bit more of a bigger part, and I was like, oh no.
Mhm.
But today, yeah. Okay, well, this also brings me to another double. So Hoff's double, not his stunt double. He had a double called Michael Newman, who was a real life bodyguard who was friends with the show's creator, Greg Bonin, who, I think that's his last name, who he wasn't a stunt double. He was Hoff's
Just a
body
double.
double for, specifically, this is a headline from the Daily Mail, exclusive. I was Hasselhoff's Baywatch body double thanks to his chicken legs.
Oh my God, I called it you. I've said his legs. So many times I've said, I get it, but his legs. Wow. And they couldn't just get Hoff on like a leg day regimen?
I think he's like too, if you look at his legs, because after I read this, I was like, are his legs really that bad? I know you keep
Did
calling them
you?
out, but like they don't look disproportionate to me.
I want you to open that screenshot that you sent me earlier today, which
I
we
know.
will post on Instagram, and you zoom right in on his legs, and it's like one of them has been cropped out.
No.
It's like it's the size of my arm. It's like
It's like when celebrities do photoshopping and they like
yes,
bring
that's
in the side of the photo and it totally makes a different
like
part of their body they weren't paying attention to look
or
weird.
like the
Yeah, it's like
fridge is like
concave.
bent in the background.
Yeah. The Eiffel Tower's like all the way on the Leaning Tower of Pisa is all the way on its side.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Well,
Just this guy's I'm surprised that he didn't just work on his little chicken legs.
I know. Well, this guy
You
was
can't
in
have
the
a
show. This guy, Michael Newman, was like actually he kind of has a bit part. He's definitely in the pilot. I remember seeing him. He's in like a lot of the B-roll, and you'll recognize him. And he gets written, I think, into more episodes in the future, like his own. He gets his own like role. He's not just Hoff's legs.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was a really fun fact I found, and
That
I
is a
just
fun
wanted to share
fact.
that with you
I
before
really
we got into the
appreciate that.
episode. Yeah. I do have one other little fun fact that is related to as we get into the episode, because
Yes.
I we're not going to talk about the intro every week, but I did learn something interesting about the intro this week.
Yeah.
So again, I don't have his name because I don't care, but the lead singer of the band Chicago, do you know that band? I know. I didn't think you would.
I mean, if you gave me a list of cities and said which of these are bands, I probably could have picked Chicago out as one.
There's multiple city bands.
Oh.
You probably know the song Saturday in the Park. Okay, that's them.
Maybe.
Okay. Well, whatever, who cares? The lead singer sings the theme song. So they got like a legit star power, if we knew his name, person to sing the Baywatch theme song, which I think is why it slaps so hard. The other reason it slaps so hard, fucking Bonnie Raitt is playing guitar in that song.
Wow.
Bonnie Raitt, for those of you who don't know, which may be ZJ, is a musician's musician, but also big 80s, like 70s, 80s, 90s blues guitarist lady, fucking badass. She is a killer guitar player. You would know her from the song Let's Give Them Something to Talk About. Okay. So anyway, very cool and very exciting to me because I love her so much. So that was a really fun fact. And no wonder when I read that, I went, oh, of course. That's why we're obsessed with this song and why I thought I was going to skip it this week. I'm like, I'll just skip it because that thing comes up. It's like, do you want to skip the intro? And I go, yeah. And then I go, no, I don't actually.
So I didn't skip it or want to skip it, and in fact, I was gonna say I get something new every time I watch it
Yeah.
because this time there's a beautiful shot of two guys like jumping out of a helicopter into the ocean at sunset,
Oh,
and I
so
was
it's
just
different.
like, and I don't think it is different. I think there's just a
Okay.
lot going on, and that was the first time I caught that little snippet.
Okay. I also noticed this watch that in the intro, the Hoff was looking very good.
Yeah,
This episode in
those
general,
chicken
it
legs.
bookends. He's hot in the intro, and then that very ending screenshot I sent you, hot.
No, I went straight to his tiny little pencil legs sticking out there. And if you compare them to, he's standing next to Craig, and Craig has very normal man-sized legs.
I did compare them too. I looked at Craig's legs because I was like, wait, are they really small? They are smaller. But then I was like, Craig is just generally more muscular, and the Hoff is just
No,
more taller and thinner.
that's a lie. What? That's the exact reverse. Are you being silly?
No, Craig is more muscular.
More muscular, yes, but I was also going to concede this episode to be like, I do like a broader boy, and I do
Oh,
like that about Hoff. He is much broader. Craig is a little bit more slender.
well, the Hoff's what we would call top heavy.
He's an apple.
Do you think anyone who's ever watched Baywatch has called one of the men top heavy, or has it just been the women? Oh,
Yeah.
side note, quick other fun fact I learned from this woman that comes on way later. She might even be Baywatch Nights. I don't know. I didn't care to learn that much
Learn
about
it
the
from
details.
her or about her?
It was from her. It was like an interview with her.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Some article somewhere. Who knows? Okay. Anyway, but she did say that when she came on the show, she got to pick her own swimsuit. So the actors, not only in the show are they providing their own swimsuits, the actors got to pick their cut because like they didn't all look the same in this.
Yeah.
Like they want like a lower cut for Pamela, of course, so her boobies are
Well,
out.
okay. I actually read something about this at some point that said that they did it to change the height discrepancy between some of the ladies. So they had the shorter ladies with lower cut here, and then the taller ladies, they brought it up more or something, and that was supposed to make them all look more uniform because
Oh.
the way that women were supposed to look in the 90s was specific and rigid.
It was like an optical illusion to average out their torso lengths.
Yeah.
That's so insane. That's so insane. Okay, let's get into this episode. This episode could only be described for me in one of several ways.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, watch with the suit. It's going to be a madhouse out there today. I need you here.
Sorry, can't. I'm a lawyer today.
Lifeguard or lawyer, make a decision by tomorrow.
Lifeguarding or lawyering?
Yeah.
Tough call.
Yeah, I got some thinking to do.
Yeah. I was going to suggest lifeguarding or lawyering as the episode name.
I love it. We got to see Craig enter his entrepreneurial era, which is so exciting because
Yes.
cut to the end, by the end of this, he's opening up his own, not a firm, but his own lawyering business. And
Yeah.
he's going to be working from the beach instead of avoiding it. So good for him for being a pioneer in lawyer lifeguarding.
Yeah, and it was also a relatively progressive take on work-life balance.
Yeah, agree. Definitely not very 1989.
No, I mean, I was 3, so I don't really remember. Maybe they were living the work-life balance dream and we've let it get away from us.
Oh, copy that. Yeah.
We're going to need
that's
to
true.
have, we need to have a lifeguard. We need to have someone who was on the show and an old person.
Could they all be the same?
could
Could
be
it
one-
be Al?
I would love it to be Al. How's
Yeah.
Al doing?
Oh, he may be no longer with us on this plane of existence. We'll have to find out.
But our boy Parker, is it Stevenson? Is
Yeah.
still around. So, and I think he lives in Venice.
Oh my God, we're practically neighbors if
Yeah.
I spend an hour in the car.
That's also
Okay.
a question I have about this, which is,
Okay.
are they in Malibu? Because they're in Venice.
They're
I
in
mean-
Venice, they're in Santa Monica, they're in Long Beach. Like,
they-
but they're supposed to be in Malibu.
Yeah. Okay, but they are
they
pretending
are
to be in
sometimes.
Malibu.
Yeah, and sometimes they are kind of.
But I
yeah,
never. Okay, it just seems like they show the Venice boardwalk a lot.
they do. And they also were showing, I think in this episode they showed Santa Monica a lot, like the pier, like the fun zone or whatever is there.
Oh my god, I didn't even place it.
Yeah, I think that's
Love
what that
that
was.
pier.
Yeah.
I wrote down that this episode started with intense music and furtive glances.
Well, it starts in Arizona, and you know how I know that is because not the Utah license plate, because that would throw you. There's a sign in the motel window that says Arizona Chili Cook-Off. And I go, are we in Arizona, or is Arizona chili a kind of chili that I've never heard of?
Yeah, it could be.
It's not. I think that he later says we were driving through Arizona and we saw the LA sign and thought we'd come make a visit or whatever.
Right. And it says, I wrote intense music, furtive glances, putting boy in car, punctures tire. Is this the moment of the kidnapping where he is taking the kid and puncturing his wife's tire? And
No,
why?
that's the PI. That's the PI that was
Oh, he
following.
knew. So he did know the whole time that guy was after him?
Yeah, he knew.
Oh,
He
I
looked,
didn't
and then
put that
he was,
together.
and then he asked the kid. He's like, the kid's like, was that him? And he's like, yeah, we got to get out of here. It's such bad PIing, and
Oh my
also I do want to talk about the PI for a second because has a PI ever been anything but disheveled? What and why is that the trope?
Well, I'll give you the best explanation that I have.
Okay.
Because a couple of years ago, I was bored and I like to listen to a lot of like mystery and detective novels on audiobook.
Yeah.
I'm not giving them a shout out. They don't deserve it. On an audiobook app that I have. And so I got it in my head that maybe how hard is it to become a PI was the question.
Yeah.
And I found out that at least where I live in Toronto, you can do it over a weekend for $500.
What?
And now you're a private investigator. And I don't know what the laws are. This is obviously the extent of my research because then I stopped and started trying to convince friends to become a PI with me and hit a wall.
I would have done that. If it only takes a weekend and $500?
Yeah. Well, we live in different cities, which is unfortunate because like we wouldn't be able to get licensed in the same city.
But we could be fucking international PIs.
I know, but I want someone to go to the weekend course with me because I'm afraid that a bunch of disheveled white men will be there.
That like have dirty fingernails, I feel like, and they're always sweaty and their collars like loose, and I think it's because they sit a lot in their car.
Well, yes, and also let me tell you something about people who work for themselves, which I do.
Yeah.
A lot of people work for themselves because they're, for one reason or another, don't want to work with other people, or other people don't want to work with them.
Which are you?
You decide. No. I'm the former.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a problem with authority.
Sure.
So this works well for me, but I have noticed, like I tell a lot of my clients this, they're like, why is the CEO of my company sometimes seems like they're making mistakes? And I'm like, that's a guy nobody would work with. And now you work for him. So that's what's happening there.
That's rough. Oh, yeah. You find yourself working for a PI? No.
Right. And so anyway, so to answer your question of why they're so disheveled, I think it's too easy to get a license. It's someone who has no other job or like is just like wants to sit alone in a car 8 hours a day, like tailing somebody. No roots because you might be following people from Arizona to California.
Right.
It's just like, I think it attracts a certain type of person. That is me, I guess.
Okay. Okay, good to know. Good for all the listeners to know. I do want to say too, the PI is not really featured very heavily in this episode. We see him at a photo booth. But it might as well be the same thing. We don't have any of them anymore anywhere.
No, but phone booths and photo booths were very different things.
They're different.
We could just take photos on our phones.
Yeah. Now we've combined the phone and photo booth into our pockets in the year 2024, even sooner than that, but definitely not in 1989. So this PI, he is a bookend. He's in the beginning, he's like a little bit in the middle, but not really. And then he's at the end when these children are rescued, because spoiler alert, 2 kids go missing. They wind up in the storm drain. They almost drown. That's the episode.
Mm-hmm.
But the PI's face when the kids get rescued at the end.
I didn't see it.
Oh my God.
Is he thrilled? Disbelieving? Angry?
Thrilled.
Oh,
He's so chuffed, I feel like you would say. cheesed even. He's like giant smiling grin, just like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, good job. But it happens not when the kids are saved technically, but right after he hears the dad who stole his own child say, let's go give your mom a call, okay?
Yeah,
And
he's happy because he was going to have to call that lady and be like,
Yeah.
the good news is your husband no longer has your son.
Yeah.
The bad news is
He's
your son
deceased.
drowned in a storm drain.
Yeah. Because he got nagged by
I have their
kid-
names if you want them.
a
I wrote
kid
down.
named
Asshole kid is Ricky.
Ricky and Mikey, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, Ricky. Ricky fucking traveled forward in time to the year 2003 when the pickup artist published his book. He took that, he went back in time to 1989 to get this kid to do fuck shit.
Yeah,
Because he was
cool,
like
though.
nagging him hard. He was
Yeah.
like, oh, yeah, I guess I just put on your sunscreen and do whatever. Oh, you came to the beach to not go in the water. Wow, you're fun.
When do you want to talk about sunscreen?
Right now.
Okay. Then everyone needs to put some on. And I'm not a big sunscreen girly. I like a tan.
What do you mean by you're not a big sunscreen girl?
Well,
you wear it
I do wear
begrudgingly?
it. Yeah. But
Okay.
so growing up, I resisted it a lot. The turning point for me was once I started paying $400 for facial peels. And then I was like, well, now I'm protecting an investment. And that's something I will do. Now it makes sense to me. I'm not going to get a $400 peel and then go out and like destroy the results in the
Right.
sun. And so
Yeah.
that turning point happened like 2 years ago.
Mm.
Before
Good for
that,
you.
I thought the sunscreen in my concealer, like a concealer or a beauty balm or whatever with like 30 SPF, I thought that counted. And then I
Yeah.
found out that it doesn't. So I've only really started using real SPF recently.
Okay, yeah. I'm getting into, I mean, I've always been good about wearing sunscreen. I'm very pale. And so I just don't want to get sunburned. I've had some gnarly sunburns in my lifetime. I'm done. I met my quota at like 11. You know what I mean? So I've always been into sunscreen. I'm leveling up with my sunscreen. I asked my dermatologist today when I was there for Botox, what do you think about a scalp sunscreen? What's your recommendation? Which one are you using? And she gave me a good one. It's like $50. I'm gonna have to order it online with
Are you
hopefully
sure you
a
need
coupon.
it though? Because you have such curly hair. I feel like that would give you a protective shield. I thought scalp is when you have like this.
I have that.
Oh,
You can
wow.
Yeah, I have a part.
Okay.
It doesn't just like come out of my head like I'm not like Screech where it's just like a round ball of curls on top of my head. I've been getting sunburns because I've been running again, which
Well, good for you.
yeah, it's fine.
Are you preparing for our inevitable live show when we run on stage?
Mhm. Yeah. I'm preparing for the B-roll that we get at some point to make our intro video. So, or just like content for social medias.
You think the B-roll is going to be you running in the background?
No, that'll be the A-roll, I guess.
Yeah. You're the host of the show. Imagine it's us talking and then it cuts to B-roll, but the B-roll is also you.
Yeah. I want to play all the parts of Baywatch.
I'm so in.
I don't have the legs to be Mitch, unfortunately.
Neither do I, but we've got my dog. She's a chihuahua.
Yeah, she has thin legs. Oh my God. Okay, I'm sweating.
But seriously, so I'm not one of those sunscreen people. I just want to say, but these people needed to put on some sunscreen. They were red.
Yeah.
Craig was red throughout. Everyone on that beach was roasting. I also had a lot of questions about why during a heat wave were they all at the beach because it's so hot there. And then I thought maybe it's because they don't have air conditioning. And so they have to like maybe going to the beach was the thing to do, but I still think it would be the worst because the sand is so hot.
Well, you're swimming. You're
But
get
a
in the
lot
water.
of those people were just laying in the sun on the burning hot sand and it was so crowded and gross. I'm like, go sit. And I love the sun, but like in a heat wave, go sit under a tree in the shade.
Yeah. Okay, but also because you said it was so busy and crowded and yeah, people are just sunning and you're like, get in the water or get out. Like this is not good for you. You're baking. You're going to have a sunstroke.
Yeah.
But I was watching because I was like, why is it so crowded? It always looks so crowded. I had a theory I was going to bring up last episode, but then I
Okay.
forgot and I just remembered. Do you think, well, one, the beaches aren't really that crowded. They're faking a
Not
crowd.
in
If
real
you
life.
look way behind them, no one's back there. And they have all one, I don't want to ruin everyone's movie magic situation, but I
Mhm.
was looking, no one's back there.
Okay.
They're like getting a tight little group and they're making it so the shot looks like that and people are running through. But like, really, if you look beyond those people, it's dead.
Okay.
The other thing is, do you think beaches were that crowded during that
That's-
time because no one had video games?
That's my question. My question was exactly that, but
Yeah.
except sub air conditioning for video games. But like, I have a real life question: were beaches more full before we had indoor things to do?
Yeah, no, I think it's true because it's like we have air conditioning, we have video games and Netflix and shit. Like there's an endless supply of things to do from your home where it's climate controlled. Hopefully,
It's
if
just
you're
that
lucky.
people in Los Angeles also have pools.
Some
So
people
many
do.
pools.
Yeah.
I don't know. We need an old person to verify what the beach scene was in
Yeah.
1989.
Yeah.
I would say
Okay.
you're going to have to be at least 20 years older than us.
Yeah, at least. That's not even an old person. I mean, I guess. Well, we could ask my mom. She's like 21 years older than me.
Okay.
Okay, I'll ask her.
Okay.
I'll say were beaches crowded? I feel like they were because she used to go to the beach all the time. She still goes to the beach all
And
the
she's
time.
from Los Angeles area?
Yeah.
Great.
Born and raised in Southern California. So
People can't say we never fact check.
yeah, from a survey of one. That's really good. Really good research. Okay, if you had an animal nickname, what would yours be? And you can't be Barracuda or Animal because that's Steve and Mitch's animal nicknames.
What are the who's calling me by the nickname?
Your lifeguard buddies.
Cool bros.
Cool bros. Cool bros and cool chicks.
I mean, my favorite animal in real life, my second favorite animal in real life is a sea dragon.
Oh.
Have you ever seen one?
No, but I cannot picture anyone calling you dragon.
What?
No.
Me? Why?
No. You look like the girl on the Coppertone bottle, speaking of sunscreen. You're just like a cute little angelic face.
No one's ever called me cute ever in my whole life.
What?
Yeah.
Oh my God, you have such a cute face.
Oh my God, thank you.
And your hair's like flipped out right now. It's
Yes.
so cute. So
You were
dragon,
really specific
I don't
about
see it.
face though.
What?
You were really specific about face.
Well, I
have a
can't
really
see the
cute
rest of
face.
you.
You've seen it before.
I
met.
haven't
We
seen
know
your
each other.
Everything's cute.
Okay, thank you.
I haven't seen your naked butt, so I can't compare it to the Coppertone girl.
Got it. Okay.
I'm going to infer that it's cute also. But dragon, no.
Sea dragon though, which are a sea dragon is like a seahorse,
Yeah.
but it's a dragon and it's awesome. It's like it's hard to describe. It's got all sorts of frilly it looks like a dragon floating around in the water. They have them at the aquarium next to the sea horses. But my favorite animal is a bat.
Oh, but bat's not like, you wouldn't be like, hey, bat. That's not really a nickname, right?
This is why I'm exploring the parameters of the question. You asked a very broad
Batty.
question. It's difficult to answer.
What about Batty?
No. An animal that also makes, what's yours? Do you have one ready to go?
Okay, wait. I just changed my mind. You could be Sea Dragon. I could see you being called Sea Dragon, but people call you SD.
No.
What?
No. What about Hammerhead?
Yeah.
What were the two that already exist? When did this come up?
Oh, it's like right when Steve arrives at Mitch's house and he's like, which by the way, if anyone ever showed up at my house like that, that's another thing.
Oh my God, I wrote down the
Between then and now.
opposite. I said, remember being able to just find a friend's house without GPS and like they didn't move and you could just go there?
Yeah, I guess when you're a kid, like younger, like a kid. But no, the way he shows up and he's like, can we stay here, essentially?
Yeah, no.
I'm like, oh God, get out of here. And it's like they haven't talked in a long time. You could tell he didn't even know that Mitch was divorced from. We learned her name's Gail. I don't know that ever came up before. But no, it comes up because he's like, oh, Hobie, did you know
Oh.
this guy's nickname was Barracuda? Oh yeah, and did you know your dad's nickname was Animal?
Can I be virgin converter though? Because that's what I really want.
Yeah.
Okay.
My
you.
animal would probably be like ring-tailed lemur or something weird, I feel like.
I mean, that does suit you, but I don't think it fits the theme.
Yeah, you're right. Okay, if I was a sea animal, I would be what?
What about a sea monkey?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. That's me, I think. I love it. I wonder, do they have a better name than that? No.
Something shrimp. They're a type of shrimp.
Oh, ew, those? Oh, I was thinking like a monkey that could swim.
Yeah, that's what everyone wanted sea monkeys to be, but they weren't. They were shrimp.
Oh, and I wouldn't be shrimp because that's not, you don't look at me and go shrimp. You know what I mean? But I would be like, know what sounds very regal? Dungeness crab.
That's good.
Yeah, that's good.
I made a note that divorce is shameful. They treat divorce very shameful. Both of the men are so divorced and so ashamed of it. And Hoff at one point, like when the second guy whose name I didn't write down reveals that he's divorced.
Yeah,
Hoff's
Steve.
like, oh no, sorry to hear that. And then he turns back to the stove and he's like he's smiling so hard, like super self-satisfied, like, I guess he's not better than me. And I'm like, neither of you are bad people because you got divorced. One of you is a bad person because you're actively kidnapping a child.
Well, and the other one is bad because you're like reveling in the fact that it didn't work out for him, which is yucky and not a good friend.
Great. It's not great.
Yeah. Yeah, he did. I knew immediately when they were like, you could just context clues, right? It's like Steve gets in the car with the kid. We don't really know who they are in the beginning of the episode, but it's like the kid's not scared. I'm like, oh, he's stealing his son. He's kidnapping his son.
Yeah.
And I think we could have a conversation right now, but good dad or bad dad?
Which one?
Steve.
Bad, obviously.
Yeah. The way he left his son on the sand to go body surfing with Mitch's kid, Hobie, like, I was like, your kid's uncomfortable, doesn't want to be here. Maybe, like, hang out with your kid.
But he also kidnapped him.
True.
So after that, my decision was pretty much made up.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a gray area for me because that is his kid. So
Yes,
it's like,
allow me to shed some light on the American legal system. What I've learned from reading a lot of Am I the Asshole subreddit
yeah.
is that in the United States, if you're a man and you request custody of your child, you'll always get it. And so they all, not full custody, but 50-50.
Oh, yeah.
And so all these men who are complaining that they couldn't blah blah blah, it's usually either because like they're living in a bachelor apartment and they don't know their kid's birthday.
Yeah.
And so
it's like a bachelor apartment made
would
of knives.
actually be detrimental to this kid to be with this guy.
Yeah.
But if a guy shows that they were an active parent and can take care of their child, they will get 50-50 custody when they ask.
Wow.
And so as soon as this guy Kate was like, no, I only get 1 weekend a month. I was like, what'd you do? Why? What did you do?
Yeah.
The courts don't just decide, oh, you get supervised visits. We've spun the roulette wheel and that's your custody deal. Like I know his weren't supervised, but like he did something to earn 1 weekend a month.
Yeah, fair.
Or he didn't show up for court or whatever.
Yeah.
Because he's the kind of guy who kidnaps a child.
Sure. And I guess, too, it's like that also says he's not someone to go through the legal avenues. Also, he was very quick to cut the little air plug thing off the PI's tire, which would not make a tire explode.
What are you talking about? Oh. An AirTag is a tracking device made by Apple.
Oh, what did I say?
You said AirTag.
Well, it is like a little air
No,
nozzle.
I know, but then I thought, I thought he slashed the tire. Maybe he just cut an AirTag off. And then I had to be like, those didn't exist in 1989.
Yeah. No, it's like the little nozzle you use to put the air.
Yeah, he cut off the little thingy. Yeah.
Which he's sawing at it. And then he's like, oh my God, quick, I gotta be quicker. It's like, stab the fucking tire, dude. And then it explodes. Literally, the guy does a U-turn and it explodes. It's like, that would not happen from doing that. Who wrote this? Just make him stab the tire.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we know
But
he's not a great guy.
That aside, this was a great episode.
Oh, it's so good. This episode was amazing. And I guess we should get to the meat of this episode,
Okay,
which
wait.
is Oh, okay, go ahead.
Wait, okay, what is the meat? I just don't want to skip over the introduction of the yellow bathing suit and Trevor coming into the. So there's so I wrote down the timestamp so that I can pull a screenshot because this bathing suit was peak fashion in this episode. It was at 7:40, and so first it shows this woman in a yellow bathing suit.
Yeah.
Who at the end of the episode is revealed to be Trevor's girlfriend.
Yeah, a visitor at least
Who's
from
also
Australia.
Australian.
Yeah.
No, I think he says it's his girlfriend because the other guy's hitting on her, and she's like, "Oh, I have a boyfriend. It's this guy, and it's Trevor."
Oh, I thought it was like, oh, she already has dinner plans. It's with me.
Oh, maybe it is. You're right.
Yeah, and she's like, oh, maybe in the next trip.
Okay.
Yeah.
But either way, it briefly in that moment flips to the remastered version of the show, at least
Yes.
on the.
Yes.
And it was jarring, and I was like, if that's what we were watching, we wouldn't be.
I think it's just like it must be that some scenes were like filmed with different, like a camera or something. They weren't able to remaster it in the same way. It was so grainy. It was bright. It was weird.
So is that what I know I was alive then, but like, is that what our viewing experience was?
I think it was.
Or has it degraded?
No, I think it's degraded. And also like, I think something switched when we were young where maybe it was like somewhat imperceptible at the time, but like our TV, like, no, even Friends, if you look at like an early episode or Seinfeld, they're really still kind of grainy looking. And then at some point it switches, probably mid-90s to more like a high def.
Yeah.
Yeah. Really weird. Really upsetting.
Yeah. It was upsetting. So I just want to capture that. And also in that scene, Trevor is making fun of the Baywatch lifeguards, and he goes like, "Oh, you guys are gonna hang out here in these eyesores," and he is talking about the iconic Baywatch lifeguard towers, which are featured in photos all over the world. Totally beautiful, really cute. Against this, like, it was just funny. He tries to kick him where it hurts.
Oh my god. Yeah. Okay. So. But the meat of this episode, I guess you would say, or I mean, it's not even the meat of this episode, but it's just kind of the emotional. There's two emotional tension rods, I guess, in this episode. The one is Craig having to decide between being a lifeguard, being a lawyer, but that's kind of like the B story. And the A story is obviously Steve's kid, Mikey, and the little friend he made, Ricky, they go missing. And we know immediately they're in danger because they're in the storm drain. We see that there's a gate on the front. The water company comes and locks it up because no one's supposed to be in there. No one checks for anybody in there, which is insane.
Yeah. No one looks for anyone
leave.
in there. But also in the lifeguarding building or whatever, at one point they say that they've got 50 lost kids that day.
I wrote 50 lost kids, and it's not even 11 is what they say. It's not even 11 a.m. There's 50 children whose parents are distraught enough to go find a payphone and call that they're missing or go to a lifeguard tower and report them missing. This is
catastrophic.
That's high traffic. That means those parents, assuming they're not the lackadaisical kind from the first episode, aka Hobie's mom.
Yeah.
That's assuming they at least look for 30 minutes distressed, calling their kid's name, wandering the beach. They've already done that. And now they've called.
Yeah. And their kid's not old enough that they could be on the beach alone. Like, it's people who lost their kid and are worried about it. 50 at 10 a.m.
Think of all the ones that have lost their kids that aren't worried yet. Like Steve. Also, okay, I wrote this down. Oh, I will say I was both like holding my breath and groaning the whole time at this lost kids trapped in the storm drain storyline because I would never put myself in that situation because I was a very good rule following kid that knew what danger was. But I understand it. But also, you just know where this is going. The tide, like, you know, the tide's going to come in immediately when they go in there.
Yeah.
And so the stress of that, I was both like, ugh, and also, oh my God.
And what was the appeal because I was a rebellious little kid, but like I don't want to go in some dank wet old tunnel. Who cares?
I don't
That's
know.
such a
I don't
dumb.
know. But I was laughing so hard at that montage where they go into like the construction area and there's just music playing and they're like looking in the tubes. It was almost like it was almost like a Brady Bunch montage, right?
I watched it twice because it was outstanding. So I also put a little checkmark montage, and I was thinking maybe we should keep track because I think there's been a montage in every one of these, and I live for them. But in one of the scenes, one of the kids is
Yeah.
like down on the ground with something, like holding something or throwing rocks at cars or something, and
Oh.
the other kid's just standing behind him, like just like dancing kind of a little bit. Like you could tell that they told them like just move around a bit, just move around, doesn't matter.
Yeah, act like you're having fun. And that was that kid's interpretation of that note from the director, just to like do a little wiggle.
It
Yeah.
reminded me of like the Charlie Brown dancing. Like it was
yeah.
it was
It's
wild.
so checked out. Yeah, that was wild. Yeah, so that was funny and also a very lighthearted montage, of course, to set the scene for like this emotional roller coaster we're going to go on. A big part of the episode is that they're missing, so no one even can try to save them. And then we turn a corner and they're found, but it's impossible to save them. There's a lock on the front.
No.
What?
Well, I have to catch up on a couple of things before I turn my page. So
Okay.
they have 50 missing children, but they also have this whole building is full of children. So who are those children? Because why do they have them? So presumably those people's parents also are looking for them, or their parents are missing. So that was confusing to me why they were missing and had so many children.
Well, it's like the meetup. It's like when you go to Disneyland or whatever, it's like there's a lost children area.
Yeah, but you're not supposed to have 50 of them in the building because then you have them all. Then they're not missing.
Right.
Or there are 50 more missing? Are these kids who you found whose parents haven't noticed they're gone yet? And also, a lot of the kids seemed old enough to be like, my mom's down there. I'm going to go get her.
Or they're like, well, it's a big beach, so maybe once they go missing, because, like a kid will come up to the lifeguard crying, I can't find my mom.
Mm-hmm.
And then maybe the lifeguard has to take them or like send them with another lifeguard to the HQ so that, because the lifeguard can't be helping them find their mom on the beach. It's crowded. They got to watch the water. So I think that's what's happening is they're like collecting the children,
sending them there,
sending them to HQ, waiting.
It seemed like the problem was twice as bad as what she said. And I also noted down that I thought she should sit down because she is taking phone calls, trying to write on a clipboard.
Yeah, she's frazzled.
But she's standing at a desk. Sit down.
Yeah. No, she's absolutely frazzled.
Focus.
Before we talk about the rescue, we have to talk about the junior lifeguards and the perverts that go directly to the adult bookstore.
Yeah.
When Mitch is like, okay, kids, go somewhere where you're not allowed to go. That's how we're going to find these kids because we've searched everywhere else, so we know they're somewhere they're not supposed to be. And two kids immediately go to the adult bookstore.
They walk past it the first time and go, and then they come back.
And then a man is like, no.
Yeah, he kicks him out. This is a second montage, right?
Second montage. It's funny. That made it very funny.
I had
scary too.
So many questions about the junior lifeguards.
Oh, okay. Like, are they just random kids from the beach?
They can't be, Nicole, because they're wearing matching uniforms.
I know. And they're navy. The navy swimsuit and shorts.
So let's run through these options.
Okay.
Either these are kids who have previously signed up to be junior lifeguards.
Yeah.
They were trained. They were given uniforms. They were sent home. They had those uniforms at home. These kids goes missing. They phone all of those. There's a phone tree.
Yes.
Because there's no cell phones. You're not sending an email or a text. There's a phone tree where one person calls another person, calls another person.
Yep. Yeah.
All of those kids happen to be at home where their phones are.
Yeah.
Which I have reason to not believe is true because they're the kind of kid who would sign up to be a lifeguard.
Right.
And everybody's on the beach. Those kids aren't home. So how are they getting a hold of all these kids? Or option 2, they have a bunch of child-sized uniforms that they keep at the Baywatch office. And they go out and they round up all the kids that fit those clothes.
Yeah.
And they put them in those clothes. And those are the kids we're seeing.
They ask, are you a good swimmer? What about option 3? There's currently a junior lifeguard training camp situation because it's summertime going on.
And
they were
Hobie's
all,
not in it?
Hobie's allowed to come and go as he pleases because his dad's the lieutenant of the lifeguards. So he can kind of do whatever he wants. But maybe it hadn't started yet. Maybe it started later and that's when. Because that's what I thought is like, oh, they're all in like a day camp of some kind.
Okay. But wait.
Or
wait.
they're random kids.
No, Hobie is one of them.
Yeah, but like maybe it hadn't started yet by the time he got to the beach. You know what I mean? It's like he had to clock in for junior lifeguard at some point.
I don't know. I feel like the answer is that they just have a bunch of tiny lifeguard uniforms that they keep there.
What if there's no children on the beach? Do they have to use like
women?
Small women?
Small women.
Small adult women. Okay. I also
they could have asked adults.
Okay. I also want to talk about, obviously lifeguards are revered on the show, okay? But there was a slanderous, I feel like there was a big beef that's set up in this episode, and I wonder if it continues through the series because the firefighters come when they find the boys in the storm drain, but they can't get to them. They're like, we need to bring in more people.
Yes. The guy's like, this metal grate, it's stuck. And then the next thing that they try, and then he like tries to cut it.
No, that's what I'm saying.
Right. But then they immediately escalate to pulling the whole concrete slab up. And they don't reinforce it in any way.
Yeah.
I was screaming. There all these adults, all these 90s adults standing around watching them almost crush these children to death. Like if that concrete slab had fallen the wrong way and fallen in.
Oh.
This is so bad.
This is what I'm saying. They're setting up a beef set. This is how I interpreted these scenes with the firefighters and the looks that the actress was giving. She was saying, you fucking incompetent moron. Lifeguards are better than firefighters is how I was reading it. Like in the moment.
Was the firefighter doing that?
The firefighters, the fire department were the ones that initially were gonna blowtorch the thing off. She's like, "Are you stupid? It's gonna rain hot metal onto the children." And it's like,
ask them to move out of the way because they're in a 1-bedroom apartment down there. They just could move towards the wall.
Also, I think a firefighter would know what's gonna happen when you apply a hot fire to metal. I think he knows.
Cutting it right in the middle. Like he could have just weakened
gone around the
beams.
side.
They could have had a saw, then just pulled that grate up. But also, why was it a permanent fixture in the first place? Why wasn't
that was weird.
A removable grate?
Yeah, it is removable if you pick up the whole concrete slab.
But that's insane. Why put a grate there at all if you don't want to access this area?
No, I know. It was so weird. But I just thought, the way she was looking at these firefighters, and then, of course, all the lifeguards came in and did the saving.
And then they're just watching the water rise and rise. They leave Hobie there. The guys go in the other way. Put a life preserver or something down or a rope, anything to help them while they're still in the water.
Well, that's what was funny.
An inflatable life preserver that I don't like the airplane ones that inflate themselves. Like, couldn't you fit one through the grate so they could at least have life preservers on?
Well, and they were like, we're not going to get a rope down there. It's like, you don't have a long enough rope anywhere near here. They make ropes that are tied two together. What do you mean?
Yes, just a rope so that they can hold something because the one kid can't tread water.
Yeah, they need to hold on to something. You could pull them up a little bit, or they could like tie it around their waist so you can just like hold them so they could float a bit easier. Yeah, it was. You're not
heavy in water, so really just something to stabilize yourself would have been a huge help.
Yeah. Well, this is why this show is funny to me when it's sometimes not supposed to be. It's like the steps they take to create a situation in which people can't be saved to heighten it. And it's like, but we have to do that or we don't get moments like at exactly 39 minutes in when when Craig and Mitch are going through the storm drains and they both step in something disgusting and it makes a sound. What was that? A dead mouse or slime shit. We don't know what it was, but it was gross. This was a phenomenal episode. How many red swimsuits out of 5 do you give it?
5.
5 out of 5.
Yeah.
I'm going to go 4.5 just because I always think there's room for improvement. This is a logistical question, but how did Hoff kick in that grate with those chicken legs? Did they use the stunt legs in that scene? We have to go back and watch it.
100%. They must have.
We'll have to go back and watch it and see if we can see his face while he's kicking, or if the face is back too far that it's like out of frame.
Why do you think that they didn't put Hobie in the focal point of the danger? Like, why did they have to introduce this asshole kid? Why wasn't it just Mikey and Hobie and make Mikey the bad kid who lures?
They can't. I think for like realistically, you can't have Hobie be at the center of the danger every episode, because then that's 3 in a row. You got to rest the game. It's like sketch writing. It's like you get stuff heightened and then you got to rest it for a second. So everybody's buttholes unclench. You chill for a second and then you hit him again with something bigger. So that's what's coming. Something wild.
I'm so glad we're doing this in part because, as you may have noticed, beloved listeners, my old timey pop culture references are lacking. And this is not the first time this has come up. One time I applied for a job at a bookstore that had it was like a cool pop culture hangout, queer bookstore kind of place in a town I used to live in. And they made me do a pop culture test. And I'm pretty sure the questions were softballs and I didn't get any of them. And it was like the Beatles named 2 of them. Like, it was
Can
not
you
difficult.
right now?
No, I'm not going to. The one that got shot in the head.
Was he shot in the head?
Yes.
Okay, I thought maybe it was the chest or stomach.
No, it's
But
the head because there's an improv guy in LA that does a character of him sometimes. That's my reference point.
oh my god.
Because there's a guy who goes on Comedy Bang Bang and pretends to be John Lennon who got shot in the head. He says it a lot.
Oh god. Oh, that sounds problematic. um what
And Ringo.
nice. Nailed it.
Clutch.
I
So
would
anyway, so I got rejected hard and I knew these people and it was a great source of shame. And they were like, yeah, you know a weirdly limiting amount about this. And I was like, okay, don't worry about it. And then later I went on to work in the music industry where this came up a lot.
Yeah. I think what do you just have a blind spot for pop culture, or is it just for like older stuff? Like, do you know stuff that's happening now, or are you just kind of out of it? Like, that's not your interest,
No,
so you don't pay attention.
I don't think I'm more out of it than other people. What I think my real problem is, because I have this problem with real life people and clients and stuff like that, is that I find it really difficult to retain who someone is until I have in fact, to learn things. I've had the same experience with geography. I have a really hard time with geography, so I started traveling more. And now all the places I've been, I'm like, I know everything about them. I can pick them out on a map, and I know the countries around them because I went there. And I really have to have a lived experience with something. So, like, did I know who almost called him Hoffman?
What?
I almost called him David Hoffman.
She doesn't even know David Hasselhoff.
I think I probably could have pointed to the thing and been like, oh, is that the guy from Baywatch 100 years ago? And I probably could have called him David Hasselhoff, but like I could have also really
Dustin
easily
Hoffman.
confused him with Dustin Hoffman very easily, right? Like, until I've had a personal experience.
Or David Bowie.
That's one.
Yeah.
And so I confused David Bowie, and
I can't remember who the other person was, but it was someone not.
people were mad about it.
I was mad. I'm people.
I didn't even know, and I didn't know why. I was like, see?
I thought it was a bit, and then I found out it wasn't. I'm the opposite. I know way too much about all that crap, and
Yeah.
but I like knowing about it. So
Well,
I
I hope you
continue
don't
to
feel
learn.
like I'm holding you back. I'm here to be enlightened. And
Honestly, I feel like it makes me look really good because
Yeah.
I just like know the answers to things about pop culture, and that makes me feel good about myself. It's a self-esteem building act for me.
great. I'm here for it. I take no shame in not knowing who a bunch of famous people I've never met are.
Famous dead people. Yeah. Okay. Wow. Well, I've been Nicole Mackey.
ZJ Hadley.
This was Baywatchers.
End podcast.